Okay.
Those are blank pages.
Just that's the way it printed, so we're just gonna skip the blank pages, okay? So this book is a level X. It's a 5th grade reading level. 5th grade. So, whenever you're ready, read the title.
Grandpa Smoke Jumper. Grandpa Smoke Jumper. Table contents. Four. We skipped pages. I'm on page 4 already. Look. This is page 4.
That's the end of it. Yeah, that's right. I'm on page 4.
We skipped 3 pages.
We just looked through them. All right. Go ahead.
Are we there yet? My sister asked for the 7th time in less than 30 minutes. Not for another 20 minutes or so. Mom answered with more patience than I had left. I was bored, cranky, and not exactly looking forward to a weekend at the grandparents in Cave Junction, Oregon. What kind of a name for a town is that anyway? I thought as I pursed my lips and stared blankly out the car window, thinking about the million other things I'd rather be doing at this particular moment. Whoa, what on earth is that? I leaned forward in my seat, startled by the huge tower looming before my sister Karen.
Before us.
My sister Karen craned her neck to see what I was pointing at. Crossing our boundary and invading my space. I did not care, as I was too preoccupied with the massive structure.
Read it. With the massive
structure that I had suddenly appeared. I believe that's one of the old smoke jumper towers, Andy. Mom answered. What's a smoke jumper? I asked him as I leaned out the window to look up at the thing towering above me like some ancient wooden giant. A couple of other timbers were rotting, and it looked as if it had been abandoned for years. Smoke jumpers are a group of highly trained people who jump out of airplanes to fight wildfires. Mom exclaimed. They're used to be a smoke jumping base here in Cave Junction. I twisted in my seat to look back at the tower, which was quickly diminishing
Diminishing.
behind us as we drove away.
What do you think that word means? Diminishing.
No.
Use your context clues. Read that sentence again. I twisted in my seat to look back at the tower, which was quickly diminishing behind us as we drove away.
Anticipated?
Yeah. Very good.
You should ask Grandpa to tell you about it. He used to be a smart jumper, Mom added, when I settled back down. Blank. Skip pages. She must be pulling my leg, I thought. I couldn't even picture Dad as a smoke jumper, much less Grandpa. The idea was just too ridiculous. But what if Mom was telling the truth? I wondered if Grandpa really was a smoke jumper. Are we there yet? I asked anxiously to get some
What's this
answers. Obnoxious?
No, you said it. You just added an ending that's not there.
Anxious?
Anxious.
As soon as Dad stopped the car, I
Hold on.
jumped out.
Real quick, from chapter 1,
Mm-hmm.
can you summarize chapter 1 for me? Do you know what summarize means? Tell me what chapter 1 was about. Like a one sentence thing.
They were driving somewhere.
Mm-hmm. To do what? You don't have to look back at it. Just tell me what you remember.
They're on the Cave Junction, Oregon,
Okay. To do what?
to visit their grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Did they learn anything about their grandpa?
He was a smoke jumper.
Okay. Now you can go on to chapter 2.
As soon as Dad stopped the car, I jumped out and headed straight for the house. Hey, hold on a minute, Andy, come back and help with the bags, Dad said, stopping me in my tracks. I groaned in frustration. I knew I was supposed to help Dad with the bags, but I desperately wanted to find out what Grandpa knew about the smoke jumpers. As I stood there debating what to do, Grandpa rushed out the door. Grandpa rushed out the door. Grandma. Looks like Grandpa can't walk. He needs a cane.
Mm-hmm. Last paragraph.
Grandma rushed out the door. You're finally here, she exclaimed joyfully. From the front porch, Grandpa walked.
Hold on, try reading that sentence again. Start with she. And remember, we stop at the period.
She exclaimed joyfully from the front porch.
There you go.
Grandpa walked by her and limped down the stairs, tightly gripping the rail for balance. There's no way he could have jumped out of airplanes and fought fires. I thought to myself, my excitement gone. I turned around and went back to help Dad with the bags. It was hotter inside the house than it was outside. The windows were all open, desperately encouraging the breezes to come in. But so far, none had accepted the invitation. I paced back and forth restlessly restlessly.
Good.
Mom and Grandma were busy chatting in the kitchen as they prepared dinner. Dad was in the living room discussing his latest project with Grandpa. And Karen was sitting on the porch swing reading a story to her 3 favorite dolls. I was just bored out of my mind, wandering aimlessly through the house, stopping every now and then to inspect objects from the past that adorned my grandparents' home in the
My grandparents.
grandparents' home.
There you go.
In one room, I found an old push pedal sewing machine that Grandma apparently still used since there was a pile of clothes in the basket next to it. In another room, I discovered an old turntable with a stack of faded cardboard record jackets. Haven't they heard of CDs? I muttered absently, flipping through the stack of unfamiliar
Musicians.
I quickly got bored with them and opened the door to the library.
That's okay.
There was a multitude of photographs in the room. Some were black and white and others were brown and faded. And they resided on shelves, tables, and walls. I skimmed over the photographs, not really paying much attention to their content since they were mostly of people I did not know. One photograph, however, made me stop in tracks. It was a group shot of a sign that read, about 20 men in front of an airplane, and a sign that read Gobi Smoke Jumper Base. Is it Gobi?
The Gobi. That's okay. That's not our word.
Oh my goodness, Mom wasn't kidding. Excited, I grabbed the photograph and ran out of the room.
Alright, before we go to chapter 3, summarize chapter 2 for me.
They got there, Dad asked them to get the luggage out, and then he was bored. He talked about his sister, his mom was talking to his grandma, and his dad was talking about his latest project to his grandpa and to his dad. And then he found a picture.
A picture of what?
The Gobi jumpers?
The smoke jumpers, yeah.
No.
Okay. Chapter 3.
Is there another chapter after this?
Yeah, there's 5.
5? How do they fit 5 in the... Oh.
They're small chapters.
I thought there were 16 pages. But there wasn't.
Yeah. Alright. Chapter 3.
Grandpa, were you a smoke jumper? I burst into the living room. He handed him the photograph. He looked down at the picture and slowly began to trace the faces of his fingers. And a smile played about his mouth as he looked back up at me. I sure was, Andy, he said as he pointed to one of the faces in the group. That's me right there.
Wait. Try that again, because you skipped a period. I sure was, Andy.
I sure was, Andy, he said as he pointed to one of the faces in the group. That's me right there.
There you go.
I leaned closer to examine the face of the young man smiling back at me. Looked a lot like...
Hold on. Try that again. Start over. I
leaned closer to examine the face. The young man smiling back at me looked a lot like my dad. I looked down at Grandpa, but I didn't see much of a resemblance. Of course, that was quite a few years ago, Grandpa added with a chuckle. I took the photo from him and flopped down on the floor. I could not make the connection between the young man in the photo and the old man sitting in the chair before me. We saw a smoke jumper tower on the drive over. Karen announced as she made herself comfortable in Dad's lap. We used to practice jumping off those towers before we went up in the airplanes, Grandpa explained. That was all it took. I could no longer contain my curiosity. You jumped off those things. I burst out in amazement.
Okay, what's at the end of the sentence?
Period.
No.
There. A question mark.
Yeah, so how should you read that?
You jumped off those things?
Yeah, like you're asking a question.
They're so huge. What was it like, Grandpa? You know, jumping out of planes, fighting fires, and barrage. The barrage of questions literally flew out of my mouth. Grandpa smiled out and settled back into his chair. He had a captive audience, a very good storyteller.
All right, tell me about chapter 3.
That's it?
I know, that was a short chapter. A quick summary, so you don't have to tell me every single thing that happened, just the important things.
Grandpa told him about the smoke jumpers.
Yeah. What did he tell him? How did he...
That they jumped off the big buildings before they jumped out of the planes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just...